reading A Serial Killer. Anthony Sowell. Anthony So Anthony Edward Sowell, August 19th, 1959 to February 8th, 2021, was an American serial killer and assaultist known as the Cleveland Strangler. He was convicted in 2011 of murdering 11 women whose bodies were discovered at his Cleveland, Ohio home in 2009. After being sentenced to death for the murders, Sowell died in prison from a terminal illness. Early life. Anthony Edward Sowell was born and raised in East Cleveland, Ohio, one of 7 children born to single-parent Claudia Gertrude Garrison. 7 other children belonging to Sowell's sister also lived in the household, having moved in after her death following a chronic illness. According to Sowell's niece, Leona Davis, Garrison subjected them to physical abuse, while her own children watched from adjacent rooms. In one incident, Garrison forced Davis to strip naked in front of the other children, then whipped her with electrical cords until she bled. Sowell himself began assaulting his niece on an almost daily basis for 2 years, starting when she was 10. It was reported by Davis that the other males in the household also committed the assaults. Military service. On January 24th, 1978, at the age of 18, Sowell entered the United States Marine Corps. He attended recruit training at Marine Corps Recruit Depot Paris Island in South Carolina, then was further trained as an electrician at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina. On July 13th, 1978, he was assigned to the 2nd Marine Aircraft Wing at Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point, also in North Carolina. In 1980, he spent a year overseas with the 3rd Force Service Support Group, then returned to Cherry Point. Sowell was ordered to Marine Corps Base Camp Butler in Okinawa Prefecture, Japan, on January 20th, 1984. A year later, he transferred to Camp Pendleton in California for 3 days until his discharge on January 18th, 1985. During his 7-year Marine Corps career, he received a Good Conduct Medal with 1 service star, a Sea Service Deployment Ribbon, a Certificate of Commendation, a meritorious mast, and 2 letters of appreciation. Excuse me. Wow. In 1989, attack, incarceration, and release. In 1989, a woman who was 3 months pregnant attempted to leave Sowell's home. He bound her hands and feet with a tie and belt and gagged her with a rag. She told police, "He choked me real hard because my body started tingling. I thought I was going to die." He was charged with kidnapping, assault, and attempted assault. He pleaded guilty to the attempted assault and served 15 years in prison. He was released in 2005. Sowell worked in a factory until 2007 when he began collecting unemployment benefits. Neighbors said he earned a living selling scrap metal. They complained to the health department of a foul smell in the neighborhood. He was a member of an online dating service where he said he was a master looking for a submissive person to train. Lori Fraser, a niece of Cleveland Mayor Frank G. Jackson, began a relationship with Sowell shortly after his release from prison and resided in his home. She said she smelt decaying bodies and was told that the smell was coming from Sowell's stepmother. When she moved out, she said the smell was from Ray's Sausage Shop, located next door. In a video interview, she mentions moving out in 2007, but in a published article, she is said to have been living there until 2008. A friend said Fraser stopped spending time at the home in 2008. Discovery gives attorneys more time to prepare, then to February 14, 2011, then to May 2nd at the request of his attorney, who needed more time to examine thousands of records and hours of surveillance footage shot from the property next door to Sowell's, and later to June 6th at the request of the prosecution due to scheduling conflicts. The trial began on June 6, 2011. conviction, sentencing, appeals, and death. Sowell was charged with 11 counts of aggravated murder and 74 counts of assault, kidnapping, tampering with evidence, and abuse of a corpse. He pled not guilty by reason of insanity, but later changed his plea to simply not guilty. On July 22nd, 2011, he was convicted on all but 2 counts, including the murders of the 11 women whose bodies were found in his house in 2009. On August 10th, jurors recommended the death penalty. On August 12th, Judge Dick Ambrose upheld the jury's recommendation. On September 14th, he was placed on death row and imprisoned in Chillicothe Correctional Institution. That November, Sowell's lawyers Jeffrey F. Keller and Thomas Rain filed a notice of appeal at the Supreme Court of Ohio. Sowell's execution was set for October 29th of 2012, but that March, a motion for stay of execution was filed. The motion was granted in April, pending final disposition of the appeal. In October, his new lawyers, Jeffrey M. Gamso and Erica Conleff of the Cayuga County Public Defender's Office, appealed to have his conviction and death sentence overturned on 21 points, with the main 3 being that he did not receive a fair trial because of the extensive media coverage. The media attention was overwhelming, generating thousands of news stories, and local coverage was both frenzied and sustained. 2, that the court had been closed to the public during an evidentiary hearing and while a jury was picked. And 3, that he had received lousy legal representation. Sowell's trial attorneys should have had their client plead guilty to killing the women and then focused their efforts on preventing Sowell from getting the death penalty. In September of 2014, the court asked both parties to address 3 issues. On April 5th, 2016, the Ohio Supreme Court heard arguments that Sowell's appellant attorneys and the Cuyahoga County DA representing the state of Ohio regarding the merits of the closed pretrial suppression hearing prior to trial. Excuse me. And the defendant's right to a fair and public trial. His lawyers argued that his Sixth Amendment right was violated by closing the suppression hearing to the press, and that the court had commute his death sentence to life imprisonment as a remedy to the structural error that resulted in the violation. They also argued that counsel had made errors and urged the Ohio Supreme Court to send the case back to Cuyahoga County for a retrial. Frankly, we blew it. Attorney Jeffrey Gasmo told the Ohio Supreme Court. The state argued that if Sowell's Sixth Amendment right was violated via the closed pretrial suppression hearing, it would not have affected the outcome of the trial, as the evidence was overwhelming and that Sowell's attorney were the ones who asked multiple times in his presence for the jury selection to be done privately, without cameras in the courtroom. The state also asserted that Sowell has never denied his guilt, and that the heinous nature of his crimes, coupled with the little mitigating evidence that denied the imposing death penalty, warrants affirming the death sentence. On December 8th of 2016, the Ohio Supreme Court rejected an appeal from Sowell, affirming his aggravated murder conviction and death sentence. In May of 2017, he appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. In October, it chose not to hear him. Wow. In February 2018, the Ohio Supreme Court denied his request to reopen his appeal. In May 2020, the state of Ohio's 8th District Appellate Court denied his appeal. Anthony Sowell died in prison on 8th of February 2021 of a terminal illness. Victims. On November 5th, 2009, 2 of the 11 victims were identified. All of Sowell's victims were African American women of an either slender or morbidly obese build, none in between. Were all except one mothers and were in their early 30s or mid to late 40s, plus or minus 5 years. Tanya Carmichael, a 53-year-old, had disappeared more than a year earlier. Her body was found buried in his backyard. She appeared to have been strangled and was identified through the use of DNA evidence. Her mother had reported her missing in December of 2008. Cassia Fortson, a 31-year-old, had disappeared 5 months earlier. Although she had been missing since June, her mother did not report her missing until she heard the news coverage regarding the dead bodies discovered in Sowell's home. On November 8th of 2009, three more bodies were identified. Crystal Dozer was a 38-year-old who went missing in May of 2007. The mother of seven children, she lived in the area where her body was discovered. Her family reported her missing to the Cleveland Police Department. This was not the first time she had gone missing, and the family accused the police of failing to investigate. The family took it upon themselves to post fill flyers and call hospitals. Imelda Amy Hunter was 47, a beautician and mother of three. She did not live in the area where her body was found, but she did visit frequently. A previous injury left her unable to use one of her arms. Her family did not report her missing until after police began removing bodies from Sowell's house. Michelle Mason, 45, was last seen in October of 2008. She lived in the area where her body was found. According to records, the police conducted a full investigation when her family reported her missing. Records of missing people going back to Sowell's June 2005 release from prison were searched, and DNA testing was conducted on the bodies found at Sowell's house. Protesters holding protest posters of missing loved ones gathered outside his home at the time. East Cleveland police also reopened several cold cases from the late 1980s. The murders by strangulation used a similar modus operandi and had stopped around 1989, the same time that Sowell was arrested. The FBI at the time was gathering information to see if Sowell may have been linked to unsolved cases in cities where he once lived. List: Crystal Dozer, age 38, May 2007. Tishina Clover, age 31, June 2008. LaShonda Long, age 25, August 2008. Michelle Mason, age 45, October 2008. China Carmichael, age 53, November 2008. Kim Yvette Smith, age 44, January 2009. Nancy Cobbs, age 45, April 2009. Imelda Hunter, age 47, April 2009. Janice Webb, age 48, June 2009. Cassia Fortson, age 33, June 2009. Diane Turner, age 48, September 2009. Aftermath. After Sowell's conviction in December of 2011, his former residence at 12205 Imperial Avenue was demolished on the order of city leaders. He was incarcerated at the Chillicothe Correctional Institution. On October 21st of 2021, he began receiving end-of-life care at the Franklin Medical Center in Columbus for a terminal illness. He died on February 8th at the Franklin Medical Center. The case was profiled on the series premiere of the investigation discovery show Killer Instinct. Unseen, a documentary film about the victims and survivors of Sowell, was produced by Laura Penglin and released in 2016. In November 12, Sowell released a letter through the website Serial Killers Inc. The letter was to the people of Cleveland. He railed against former trial judge and newly elected Cuyahoga County Prosecutor Tim McGinty and addressed the issue of artwork which he had recently sent to the owner of the website. On July 16th of 2021, ground was broken for the Garden of 11 Angels Memorial on the former Sowell property, and it was dedicated November 6th of 2021. On July 24, 2021, 5 women who survived kidnappings by Sowell told their stories on Oxygen's Snapped episode, Notorious, the Cleveland Strangler.